Hey everyone, Brandon here from Trucksafe. More big news from the US DOT on English Language Proficiency enforcement for truck drivers. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy just announced the FMCSA will in fact be withholding over $40 million in federal funding from the state of California for failing to comply with federal ELP standards. That's what we're breaking down in this video, so stay tuned and be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. According to the US DOT press release issued October 15, 2025, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is pulling $40.6 million from California's Motor Carrier Safety Assistance Program, or MCSAP funding. That's grant money states use for roadside inspections, traffic enforcement, safety audits of trucking companies, and public education campaigns. Why California? Well, as we've addressed in other videos, it's one of a few states that has been in the US DOT's crosshairs recently for failing to fully enforce the ELP rule and also for the improper issuance of non-domiciled CDLs.
So to every other state, consider this your notice. Fix your system, fix your rules, comply with the law.
Recall that under 49 CFR section 391.11b2, regulated drivers must be able to read and speak English sufficiently to converse with the general public, understand highway traffic signs and signals, respond to official inquiries, and make entries on reports and records. Earlier this year, President Trump signed an executive order, and the FMCSA and CVSA issued new enforcement policies, returning these ELP violations to out-of-service criteria, meaning drivers flagged for English language proficiency are supposed to be sidelined from driving. Secretary Duffy laid it out plainly, saying, "I put states on notice this summer. Enforce the Trump administration's English language requirements or the checks stop coming. California is the only state in the nation that refuses to ensure big rig drivers can read our road signs and communicate with law enforcement. This is a fundamental safety issue that impacts you and your family on America's roads." He added, "Let me be clear, this is valuable money that should be going to the great men and women in California law enforcement. Governor Newsom's insistence on obstructing federal law has tied my hands. To unlock that funding going forward, California has to adopt and actively enforce the ELP standard. That means inspectors start doing ELP assessments at roadside stops and placing drivers who fail out of service right then and there. No more passes. FMCSA is also withdrawing its prior approval of California's commercial vehicle safety plans for 2024 and 2025, so nothing vouchered going forward gets reimbursed by the feds unless and until California comes into compliance. This builds directly on what we covered back in our prior videos and articles, which we'll link in the description below. Earlier this year, we dove into how an FMCSA investigation from late June to mid-August flagged 3 states for weak enforcement: California, Washington, and New Mexico. In California, out of roughly 34,000 inspections with violations, just 1 driver got sidelined for ELP, and at least 23 who were cited elsewhere slipped through without a second look. Washington managed only 4 out-of-service orders from over 6,000 inspections, and New Mexico reported 0 since enforcement ramped up, letting at least 7 unqualified drivers, including the one linked to that deadly Florida U-turn crash, keep driving. And this all ties straight into the non-domiciled CDL crackdown we just covered in our latest video and article. English language proficiency is a core driver qualification rule, and non-domiciled CDLs, issued to residents of other countries, have been a hotspot for these issues. That Florida driver, unlawful status since 2018, improper CDL from Washington, then a non-domiciled one in California. According to US DOT reports, since January of 2025, 5 fatal crashes involving non-domiciled CDL holders have killed 12 people, including 2 kids, and injured over a dozen more in spots like Alabama, Delaware, Texas, and West Virginia. FMCSA's interim final rule on non-domiciled CDLs, effective as of early October, slams the door on that by narrowing eligibility to just H-2A ag workers, H-2B seasonal non-ag folks, and E-2 treaty investors. No standalone employment authorization documents anymore. Drivers need an unexpired foreign passport plus a valid I-94 for every application, renewal, transfer, or upgrade of a non-domiciled CDL. And non-domiciled has to be stamped big and bold on the front of the license. No more hiding it. The bottom line for carriers, ELP checks aren't optional. They're a must for qualifications, and this latest development shows that the US DOT is serious about it. So be sure to verify your driver's English proficiency and license status today to dodge headaches. We've got a ton of ELP resources for fleets over at trucksafe.com/ELP if you're interested. That's going to wrap things up for this video. For even more in-depth information about these types of regulatory topics, be sure to check out our innovative online DOT compliance courses for safety managers and for drivers over at trucksafeacademy.com. Also, if you're looking for an easier way to access and understand the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, check out eRegs, the first app-based digital version of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations over at eregs.app. Lastly, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter over at trucksafe.com/subscribe and follow us on our various social media pages for the latest highway transportation news and analysis. Thanks for watching.